Hey YouTube, how is everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone is doing well. So I am actually getting a little bit later of a start on today's video, or like doing kind of my nighttime routine or whatnot. As you can maybe tell, it's a little bit darker, and I know I probably have said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it again, but I am so looking forward to just when it gets lighter out for longer, which is kind of funny for me because I still am. I've always been a rainy day, dark weather, like gloomy, more of like a night kind of person. I'm definitely way more a night owl than what do you call it, early bird, morning person. Definitely way more a night owl. And the funny thing is, not that I'll get into a whole big thing about this, but I have been like that ever since I was a little kid. Like my parents talked about how which I guess now that I'm saying it, I feel like all kids keep their parents up at night, when they're young or whatever. But anyway, I've always like kind of been, sorry, I'm reading something. Sorry, I was reading something that came in real quick. What was I gonna say? No, I forgot what I was gonna say. Night owl. Anyway, so no, but I'm looking forward, and I've always been drawn to more like the cold weather and stuff like that because I like to bundle up and wear jackets and stuff. But lately, in the past few years, I've just been like way more inclined to like summertime. Like I want the sun. I want to wear shorts. I want to wear t-shirts. I want to wear, I want to be like, I want it to be sunny outside. I want it to be warm. I want that. Like, not saying it has to be excruciatingly hot, but I need the sun. Maybe it's because I'm like, I need more vitamin D in my life, in my system. And not that this is even at all what I meant to get into in today's video, but I was like actually thinking about this. I feel like as a collective group of humans, like a lot of people are way more indoors than we were years ago, right? Like years ago, like we're more indoors, and especially now with people working from home, which working from home is great. I enjoy doing that, but it's just, there is just something about just like, I need to get out of the house. Like some people are, I don't know, I need to get out. Scratch my back. I need to get out of the house. Like I need to get out and do something. Like it doesn't even necessarily have to be anything crazy or whatnot. I need to get out. So anyway, why I was saying that though is because maybe that's why I'm like craving the sun in summertime even more now at this stage of my life than I was before. Like maybe I'm getting less vitamin D than I was at one point. Like the older we get, the more that we need, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just looking forward to more of that vibe. But what I did want to talk about today, which I feel like I'm gonna have to go kind of quick, even though this is something I could sorry, I was reading something else real quick. I'm losing my train of thought. No, so I feel like I could go on a lot about this topic, and I could and I will, but it's funny because one thing that I wanted to actually vlog a little bit about was like moving and buying a house. That's something that I've talked about a little bit before in the past, and I've thought I was going to move more than once actually, but particularly about a year ago, I found a house, and it was, I don't want to get into the full thing of it because I feel like I could. Why are you just like stopping around the middle of the road? Running you. Like, I honestly don't know like where you just stop right there. I don't know. I don't even think they were doing anything wrong. I'm just being irritated. I hate how your doors unlock automatically. Like, I don't feel like I'm around serial killer alley right now, I mean, who knows, maybe I feel like the killers could be everywhere, but anyway, it's like, why would your door automatically unlock? I hate that. So to kind of give a summary, years ago, I thought I was going to be buying a house, and this light is really, it just got really, I feel like that makes it worse. It's just going to be a little grainy. I'm just going to talk for like maybe 5 more minutes about this, so we'll see. But a year ago, I was like super serious about moving. I just thought, I was just like really focused on it. Kind of when you focus on something and you just think it's going to make you so happy, and it's just going to be like, just like something that brings you so much happiness or whatnot, which it may have been. So anyway, I thought I was looking for condos. I had put an offer in on a few condos, and I know the housing market was like really not great. It was not a buyer's market a year ago. I don't know. I think it's supposed to get worse, but I think I actually heard it's getting better now, but either way. And I didn't get either condo, and I was like actually I was like kind of upset about like not getting them, which I'm kind of like, oh, I guess this is, then I like figured it out, like this is common. And then I was like reading stories or reading people, they're like, yeah, we applied to like, or we put in an offer to like 50 places or whatever. I don't know if it was 50, but it was like a large amount of number where I'm like, oh my gosh, really? And like something, oh gee, what are my chances now on finding something? Anyway, but I found a house which was kind of unusual for me because I was really looking at condos, but I found this house in particular, and it was an older house. It was built, I think it was built in year 1900, and it was older, but the inside had been totally redone. Like they totally gutted it, if not just about gutted it. I think like one of the rooms had the original floors, or like, they didn't redo the floors, but it was just one room and the floors were decent, it was like hardwood floors, but the rest of the floors were like fresh laminate. I mean, they put in a new bathroom, new bathtubs, new kitchen appliances, new like countertops. Like you walked in and it looked like a new showroom house. And I thought, this is nice, because I like new, like when it comes to, if I could have a house that's like old and charming and has history, or I could have something that's just brand new, freshly built, I would get brand new, freshly built. And, not everyone wants that, I get that, but like, that's kind of more me. Like, I want something new. I want to be the first one who lives in it. That's what I want. I mean, obviously, you can want something and doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get it or whatnot. But anyway, like if I had a choice and it was the same either way, that's what I would prefer. So this was kind of a really cool way though, because it was such an old house. It did have like a little charm to it, so it did feel like it had a little bit of history, like it was kind of established. And I kind of like, not in a weird way, but I almost kind of looked at the house like I personified it, I guess you would, which I used to do that a lot when I was a kid. I would personify things. I did that a lot when I was a kid, and I've kind of stopped doing that like in my, in my more recent life, which I don't know. Sometimes I think, okay, maybe that's a good thing, because then you give things like meaning, and, it's like you talk to them like that, they're alive, and I'm not sure that that's, I should be doing that or whatnot. But anyway, so I kind of personified the house or whatnot, and I had this desire in me, like, to take care of the house. Like, I wanted to be good to the house. I just wanted to be really good to the house, and I thought it kind of met my needs because it was new on the inside, but it was like an established house, so it kind of like met my needs. And then, I thought, okay, well, I can take care of the things that still need taken care of. Long story short, as pretty, I'll use the word, I don't mean pretty as in like girly pretty, but like as pretty and fresh as the house was, like it was just a nice house, as pretty and fresh as it was cosmetically, it was nice and fresh, but there was like a bunch of other work that it needed. Like it needed a new deck. I think they didn't redo the deck, but they did something with the deck. But the guy who did the inspections, he's like, okay, I see what they did that maybe made it look nicer, but it really needs to be torn down or whatever, yada yada. He was actually, speaking of the deck, he actually is like, he said, yeah, you probably should, if you're looking for something cost efficient, you should just totally get it torn down and just make like concrete steps and just like have like a concrete patio or whatnot, which that's like not a bad thing, but I liked the deck. Like that was one of the things about the house that I actually liked, is I liked it. Kind of all these little things create ambiance, and that was like one of the things that I really liked that created ambiance. It was a nice deck. I had decks in my houses growing up, and I mean, I have like a balcony now. What are you doing? Okay, I thought they were like walking in my car. They were walking by anyway. I had patio, like I have like a, not patio, but I have like a balcony or anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, there's like you know, a pro about the house that I like gone, you know, just like all these things came up in inspections, which it's good that he's finding these, but it was just like, it's like, how much is this going to cost? Oh, that could, you know, they can't, the inspection guy can't really give you prices, you know, they're like, they don't want to be liable or whatnot, which I do get. I honestly understand. If I was in his shoes, I would do the same thing, but it's kind of irritating because here you're telling me I need all this stuff, but you're just like leaving me a shot in the dark about prices. But he did kind of give me some estimates. So, you know, he totally didn't leave me in the dark, but it's just like, that's one of the things that honestly ticks me off about buying a house is it's a huge decision. It's like a, you know, really big, important decision. And I feel like the information that you get about the house is just like subpar. Like, I feel like if I wanted to go to Coach and buy a new backpack, I could find out way more information about buying a $400 or $500 backpack than I can about like buying a house or a condo. It's kind of like you just have to go with it. I don't know. That's kind of like the vibe. That one thing I learned about buying a house or buying a condo that I didn't realize at the time. Maybe that's like the market that we're in, you know, but anyway, I feel like, okay, I felt like I was having to take a bigger gamble than, like, everything's always going to be a little bit of a gamble, but I just kind of felt like I was having to take a bigger gamble than I had realized anyway. So he's like giving me all these pricing indications, you know, and he's like, oh, this will be 10,000. That'll probably be 2,000. Oh, this could run you 5,000. And it's just like all these things were just like adding up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend another $100,000 on just like what this house needs or whatnot. And I feel like they're kind of giving you the worst case scenario. So it's like not everything needs to be done at once, but the feeling, like the gut feeling that I got after getting the inspection done was, as nice as the house looked, it was going to need, oh, and then the roof, like there was like stuff going on with the roof that was like kind of more, I don't know if I would say urgent, but like more pressing maybe. And I just felt like I was not in a position to be able to take care of the house and give it the attention that it needed. And part of me thought, well, do I just want to just try to do it? And I was like, trying to think of ways that I can make it work. You know, I could do this, I could do that. And it was just, at the end of the day, it was going to be too much stress on me. And I don't like to be pushed. I don't like to be stressed out. And like, I know life is like full of stress or whatnot, but like, I'm not going to put well, sometimes I do, but I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm going to be stressed out about something and have something to be stressed out about. So long story short, even though I'm not really making the story short, at the end of the day, or at the end of the decision, I just thought, okay, this is gonna, like, I'm not gonna have, you know, it's something that best case scenario, it could work, like it could work out, but you know, buying a house is more than just like paying the mortgage and paying the monthly, you know, the insurance or whatever, and paying the taxes. Like there's maintenance that, you know, needs to be done on it, and this house was gonna need debatably, you know, a good deal more maintenance than just your average house, you know, just anyway. And so I just felt like it was going to put me in a position where this house was already at the top of my budget. It actually, it was within the amount that I was approved for. Like I could have even gone a little bit higher based on what you know, the range I was approved for, but I didn't want to be at the top of what I was approved for. You know, you're approved for X amount. I'm looking to be kind of like in here in the lower or the middle or whatnot. So this was already above my personal budget that I set for myself. So, and it was kind of getting close to the top of my budget. So, but it was kind of one of those things where I was like looking at it and it felt out of reach. It felt really out of reach at one time. Like I was looking, I'm like, oh, that would be nice. And then I kind of like reassessed it. I'm like, you know what? I think I can make that work. I think I could actually make that work. You know, I think that's actually more within reach than I at one time thought it was. So when something is like kind of out of reach and then it suddenly becomes in reach, I know it's really dark right now, and then it suddenly becomes, I don't want to turn the light because there are like people walking around, but then it becomes like within reach, and it kind of makes it a little more special. So it had that element to it as well. And it was a tough decision, but at the end of the day, I didn't have peace with moving forward with it, and I decided like not to buy the house. And I kind of got turned off about buying anything else, because not that this is the only factor involved, but when you see something, you know, that house was like almost perfect. I mean, aside from like, well, I guess apparently it wasn't because it needed a lot of work, but it was like, you know, you walk in a place, you're like, do I want it? Do I want it? Do I want it? I knew I wanted it. It's just, you know, was it going to be wise? The only drawback, the main drawback, aside from like all the non-cosmetic work that it was going to need, was the fact that, and because it was an older house, I guess this is more common, the ceilings were actually, which I didn't even realize this on my first walkthrough, the ceilings were low. Like they were a good deal lower than like your normal ceiling. And so it's like my head wasn't going to get chopped by the fan, but I'm like 5'11", 5'10 and a half, 5'11. And so it's kind of like I could see like my head was like close to like if there was going to be a fan or whatnot, then it's like, oh, well, you could get a fan that's more pressed to the ceiling. And then I'm having to make like those kind of accommodations. That was like the only thing. And then ironically, that was like one thing, you know, you find these things that you don't realize when you first walk through or with anything in life. Like you first see something and there's these things that you're taking in so much information initially that you don't really realize it until, until you kind of further reassess it. So anyway, ironically, though, I was watching HGTV recently, like within the past maybe week or like a couple of weeks or so. And this guy, it was a guy and his wife or whatnot. They were talking about moving or selling. I don't know if it was like one of those Love It or, I don't think it was Love It or Listed, but it was some thing where I guess they were looking for a new house or something like that. And he made a comment. He's like, and he was like a taller guy. Like I think he was even taller, like a little bit taller than I was. And he just made a comment to the camera. He said, yeah, you know, the ceilings are low. And he's like, at first you don't think you'll mind it, which is kind of what I thought at first. I'm like, oh, I'll be okay with that. But then he's like, but after a while, you know, it does start to bother you. So I don't know. I kind of took that as like a good sign that, okay, you know, even though at the time, I'm not trying to demonize the low ceilings, but that is like one thing that I'm like, okay, that, you know, that was kind of I don't want to call it a deal breaker, but anyway, I've gone on way longer about that than I wanted to, but I guess I want to establish the point that I would be a first-time home buyer, but I do have a little bit more experience now as far as like looking for homes and like kind of going through the, you know, making an offer process or whatnot. And I kind of, my lease is up, you know, around this time of year, my lease is up, you know, like my lease is up, you know, towards we'll just say the end of next month or whatnot. So this time of year is like usually when I start looking. Actually, I started earlier than this time of year, you know, because you got to get a little bit more of a head start on it. But I don't know. I haven't moved. I have not purchased a house or a condo. Part of me thought about maybe renting a different apartment. I like the apartment that I'm in. Like I appreciate the apartment that I'm in, but I moved into this apartment when I was in a very different, by different, I mean worse financial state than I am right now. Like I'm doing, like, you know, fortunately, knock on wood, you know, I'm doing considerably, I can't even talk. I don't know, maybe I feel guilty about saying it, but like I'm doing considerably better now than I was at the time. So it's kind of like, part of me thinks, okay, you should, you know, or, you know, part of me, not you should, I mean, you should, or like part of me wants to like, okay, let's, you know, move somewhere, you know, a little bit nicer. I like where I'm at right now and I appreciate where I'm at right now. But at the same time, like part of me does desire something that's like just a little bit, you know, something newer, something a little bit nicer. But at the same time, I don't hate where I am right now. People who I know, they look at where I live, like people who know me or whatnot. They're like, Sam, yeah, you should move. You know, you should, like, you know, you would be happy. Like, I know you'd be happier somewhere else. Because you like things that are nicer, and like the place you're in right now, like, you know, you've done really nice things with it, but it's like not the nicest place, and you deserve something better. Like that's kind of the feedback that I get more from people around me who know me well, which I like hearing that because it makes me feel good that like people are looking out for me or whatnot. But at the same time, I have an incredibly good rent right now, like an incredibly good rent, and rent everywhere else is so high. Like I would have to pay, I mean, I'm looking at the low end of what I would have to pay if I move somewhere would be 1.5 times what I'm already paying. Like double it and then put another half of what I'm already paying on top of it. Like that would kind of be like I would have to over double what I'm paying now, which part of me thinks, okay, you know, that's the market, that's the way things are. But I don't know, I feel like I'm going on a lot, so I don't want to get all into this, but I really want to be wise about what I'm doing, because it's like I have like a good thing going where I'm at right now, like with a rent rate, you know, and rent is like, rent's not even cheap. Sometimes buying is actually less expensive. Like if you're looking at it from a monthly payment standpoint to what you would be paying in your mortgage versus what you're paying in rent, sometimes buying is actually less expensive from that standpoint. But then I guess you're the one in charge of like doing the maintenance and stuff. So, you know, maybe that kind of evens it out. Maybe, I don't know. But rent is just like outrageous right now. Like it's honestly outrageous, and it's honestly outrageous. And it's kind of like one of those things where I'm just like, I don't like, part of me doesn't mind paying something if I feel like it's worth it, but I feel like it's not. I feel like things are so overpriced, and I feel like to get something that would be nice enough to make me want to move into it, it's going to be in like a higher price point. But then even if I'm like settling for the lowest of the nice things that I like, I don't know, hopefully I'm saying that right, the price, it's still overpriced. So like I feel like I would have to accept the fact that I'm going to have to pay for something that's like overpriced, and I don't want to do that. I don't feel like that's smart. I just don't have, I don't know, I just like don't feel like it would be different if something happened and, you know, like I couldn't live where I'm living now and I would have to make something else work. Like that would be a different situation. You know, I could make it work, and I'm like, okay, you know, it's not like I can't do it. I don't want to put myself, I feel like I gotta get defensive. I don't want to put myself to make it look like, oh, I can't do it. I can do it. Like it's not that I can't do it. It's boils down to, I want to be wise, and I want to make a smart choice. And I also, my mind goes to worst case scenario, because I don't know, I feel like I've been talking long, but so I'm going to end it here. I do have a lot more that I want to say about the topic, but like long story short, you know, I know what it's like to have the rug ripped out from you financially. Like I've experienced that in my life back in 2008. I mean, I graduated high school in 2006, so I was a young adult in 2008. I could get more into that, but that would be maybe for a different video or whatnot. But I know what it's like to have the rug ripped out from with under you financially. So things that I once maybe took for granted, I don't really take as many of those things for granted anymore. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe I kind of stay where I'm at right now as an insurance policy, like just in case, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And people say, oh, don't base it out of fear, don't live out of fear. And it's not, I mean, I guess some of it could be out of fear, but it's also out of like wisdom. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of feel like if I see the right place, I'm going to feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like if I see the right place and it's going to be worth it to me, then I'll know it. And I feel like I had a little bit of that with that house before, except there was that little, like, I don't know. Anyway. A lot more I could say, but I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Sorry that it is a little bit dark and grainy right now, but anyway, I will talk to you all a little bit later. All right, adios.